From your Revere TV studio on Broadway, it's the Revere Review with your hosts, Debbie DiGiulio and Ed DeVoe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Revere Review, a bi-weekly program dedicated to covering news in Revere. I'm Deb DiGiulio.
And I'm Ed DeVoe.
So please grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the Revere Review.
As you remember from our last program, the City Council at its March 11th meeting voted in favor of 5 bonding measures to build a new school, renovate the Harry Delarusso Stadium, and build 3 new ball fields at St. Mary's Park. The lone bonding issue that did not pass that evening was the renovations to the old McKinley School building for use as space for the school department and other city offices. This week, the City Council subcommittee voted 4-2 in favor of renovating the old McKinley building once the new one is built. Councilor at Large Anthony Sambuto indicated that he approved the measure, saying that it is not going to cost the taxpayer a dime. The school department plans on paying for the school renovations. The cost of the $2.5 million loan will apparently be paid for by the school department, since it will actually be renting space from the city. As Dr. Dakin noted on the March 11th meeting, the school department needs space, and the money would go out of the city if it has to pay rent to a private owner. The measure must now be sent back to the full council for a final vote, most likely at its next meeting.
And speaking of Dr. Dakin, he received another accolade this week by being appointed to a special advisory panel by Massachusetts House Speaker Bob DeLeo. The panel is comprised of a legislator, experts in mental health, law enforcement, and other related areas. Will study and recommend possible legislative solutions to address gun violence. Joining Dr. Dakin on the panel will be Boston College Graduate School of Social Work Associate Professor Mary Lou Sutters, Natick Police Chief James Hicks, Mass General Hospital Associate Chief of Psychiatry John Herman, and Northeastern University Associate Dean Jack McDevitt. Professor Sutters, a former Massachusetts Commissioner of Mental Health, has been a frequent commentator in wake of the recent Newtown, Connecticut shootings. She said reaction to the tragedy suggests a willingness on the part of Americans to address the problems of mental illness instead of focusing debate solely on gun violence. Should be very interesting to hear what comes from this panel's discussion. Kudos once again, Dr. Dakin.
In other news, with the painting of its bright white ceiling and the Patriot Blue ductwork, the RHS Fieldhouse, after a 2-year renovation process, has become a facility that is making people inside and outside the city take notice. Gone is the fuzzy green shag carpet covering the ceiling, gone are the condemned bleachers, and gone is a dreary dungeon-like atmosphere of the old Fieldhouse. Replacing them are safe new bleachers, a modern new glass backboards, and a new Bose system, a new scoreboard, and modernized locker rooms, along with a new weight training and fitness area. Singled out for their work on the renovations was the school custodians. Under the direction of Carl Svensson, they did yeoman's work painting the blue ductwork. When asked about the renovated Fieldhouse, Athletic Director Sean Hart said, "I don't think I could be any happier about the way it came out." He went on to say that for the first time in a long time, RHS is now getting inquiries from athletic officials who want to use the Fieldhouse for postseason events. RHS teams can now proudly stand and play in their Fieldhouse and with great pride say, "This is our house."
We have our first 2 announced candidates for school committee. Kicking off the election season are 2 newcomers to the political arena who announced this week that they are candidates for seats on the school committee. The first candidate, Susan Gravelisi, has had 2 children go through the Revere Public Schools, and she is looking forward to making a positive impact on the school community. Gravelisi has worked as a karate instructor at the Revere Karate Academy since 1988. She is a certified personal trainer and wants to bring her fitness expertise into the school committee. In her announcement, Ms. Gravelisi said, "I think I can make a positive impact when it comes to fitness and health and make some really good suggestions in those areas." The second candidate to announce intentions is Patrick Keefe. Keefe has been involved in several community organizations such as Revere Youth Baseball and Softball. He has also served as a coach for the Revere Junior Patriots since 2011. Mr. Keefe currently is employed as a culinary director for Legal Seafood and has 2 children in the Revere school system. As you may or may not know, this is an election year in the city of Revere. All positions on the school committee and council are up for grabs this year. Stay tuned as we look forward to the additional candidates and announcements that we are sure are to come.
In other news, a study detailing the health of residents in communities surrounding Logan Airport is due to be released this spring. The study, commissioned by the state under the support of the leadership of Senator Petrocelli, was performed by Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Early leaks of the study findings have already raised some eyebrows and have gained attention of Boston's WBZ-TV. In the report, WBZ noted that the report will show evidence of elevated rates of heart disease and lung cancer. Others familiar with the study have also indicated that the airport may be linked to levels of multiple sclerosis in cases in the area. Stay tuned for what promises to be an interesting news and reactions when the study is officially released.
Have you ever turned down a street in our city, hit a pothole, or seen somebody dumping illegal trash and thought, who should I call to report this to? Well, Mayor Rizzo has the answer for you. Beginning March 30th, residents of Revere will be able to use a mobile app known as Commonwealth Citizens Connect program to report a pothole, illegally dumped trash, or other issues negatively impacting our overall quality of life. The implementation of this new program is being funded by a grant from the Community Innovation Challenge Grant Program. Revere is only one of 27 communities across the state that will receive the grant. The mobile app was originally developed for residents of the City of Boston, and under the direction of Boston's Mayor Tom Menino is now being shared with other cities and towns across the state. Mayor Rizzo was quoted as saying, "We are really grateful to have the help and support of the City of Boston in order to use the Commonwealth Citizens Connection app." The mobile application will be a great way for residents to report quality of life problems to the city in a timely manner. For more information about the mobile application, please call the Mayor's office at 781-286-8111 or check the links that will be available starting March 30th on www.revere.org on how to download and use the new application.
Last week, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation conducted a meeting in Chelsea to unveil its long-awaited ethanol transportation study. Ethanol is currently being brought into the state on rails through Worcester to Providence, Rhode Island. It is then delivered by barge to the terminals on the Chelsea Creek in Revere. Global Petroleum is seeking to eliminate the Providence leak and bring the ethanol directly to the Chelsea Creek terminals by rail. Last year, the DOT commissioned a study and held a series of public hearings to identify issues surrounding the transportation of ethanol through densely populated areas of Chelsea, Revere, Everett, Somerville, and Cambridge, and to make recommendations to address those issues. During these meetings, members of the study group heard from many people who are concerned for their safety and did not want to see rail transportation of ethanol through their communities. Many in attendance at last week's meeting were not satisfied with what they heard. They were told that there's not much that can be done to stop the transportation of ethanol on rails. And recommendations basically presented by the study group focused on beefing up security plans, acquiring the foam solutions needed to combat any fires, and working with local fire departments to develop emergency response plans to respond to any rail accidents and fires that may occur. The study also pointed out that currently hundreds of trains carrying ethanol run incident-free through the western and central parts of the state. Still, people feel very uncomfortable with the idea of ethanol coming in on rails and feel even more helpless about their ability to stop it or very least ensure that Global Petroleum and the rail companies are doing everything possible to ensure the safety of the communities in its path.
We'll be right back after this message from Morris about an upcoming veterans event.
Hello out there. My name is Morris. I'm with the Revere Veterans Service, the Revere Allied Veterans Council, and the Revere Senior Center. And we're here to let you people out there know that we're going to have a telethon of The Wall That Heals on Sunday, May the 12th, 2013, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. The telethon will be located at the Revere TV, the Citizens Bank Building, 385 Broadway, Suite 203. Come on, make a pledge, or call it in at 781-629-3462. The phones will be answered by two beautiful women, Marissa Coriali from the Revere Senior Center and Lois Diamond from the Revere Senior Center, who helped me compile everything I'm doing here. I would like now to take a minute off and read the names of the Vietnam veterans that were killed in action, and they are as follows. Robert L. Blaze, Ensign, 3rd grade, United States Navy. James L. Delamont, Sergeant Major, United States Army. Sebastian E. DeLuca, Master Sergeant, United States Army. Martin L. Gillespie, Jr., United States Navy. John M. Glazer, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps. Arthur R. LeGros, Jr., First Lieutenant, United States Army. Alan J. O'Brien, Jr., First Lieutenant, United States Army. Walter S. Olinsky, Jr., Warrant Officer, United States Army. Stephen J. Penta, United States Navy. Thomas W. Whitten, Corporal, United States Army. Robert Carl Levine, Major, United States Air Force. And Kenneth G. Brown, Sergeant, United States Air Force. And may God bless them and rest their souls in peace, and thank you very much.
Welcome back to our section of the show where we seek to highlight significant events and community groups in the city. Starting off our list, we have a reminder that the citywide cleanup campaign, Revere Shines, will be held on Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 12. Participants are requested to gather at the American Legion Hall on Broadway beginning at 8 a.m. Refreshments and cleanup tools will be provided at that location. For more information, please contact the mayor's office or go to the city's website at www.revere.org. Next up is a note to hold November 18th open for the Revere Castle's Taste of Revere event, which will be held at the Casa Lucia. The Revere Castle event is always a well-attended and worthy event, so make sure you put this date in your calendar. And for our final event in this week's segment, it's my pleasure to have Jeff Perlman, retired school teacher and wonderful historian who has a passion for history and a wonderful skill at telling the stories that keep history alive. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jeff is here today to tell us about an event that is upcoming on Saturday, April 13th at the Rumney Marsh Cemetery, a wonderful historical treasure within the city. The event will celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, a significant event in the elimination of slavery in this country. But Jeff, why the event in Revere and why the Rumney Marsh Cemetery?
Well, for two reasons, Ed. Revere has always been a farming community. And beginning in the 17th century, a farming community, growing crops, needed labor. And that labor happened to be African slaves. At the first census that was taken in Chelsea in 1765, there were 419 inhabitants. Of those 419 inhabitants, 43 were Negro slaves. Now, to go from there to the cemetery is quite an easy step. Many of these slaves were buried and are interred in the Rumney Marsh Cemetery. Unfortunately, there are 16 slaves in unmarked graves, 13 of whom are buried along the north wall. And what we're going to do on April 13th at noon is have a ceremony. And at that ceremony, we're going to unveil two informational tablets. And on those two tablets will be an illustration, one of which will be of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the first all-black regiment that fought in South Carolina during the Civil War. And the other tablet will have a picture of a slave in shackles with the words, "Am I not your brother and a human being?" Also on those tablets will be the names of the 13 slaves that were interred in the cemetery, along with their owners, citizens of Chelsea, who actually owned, amongst other property, Negro slaves, and also the dates that those slaves lived and died. And because it's the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, I hope to have their city and state dignitaries, along with representatives from the Revere Public Schools, to talk a little bit about the significance of the Emancipation Proclamation and slavery in general.
Okay. So that event is on the 13th of April.
Correct.
What time does the event start?
At noon.
At noontime.
Right.
Okay. And like you said, you're hoping to have dignitaries from the state and so forth there.
Correct.
And so hopefully we'll have some great weather that day.
Yes.
And a wonderful turnout. If you haven't seen the Rumney Marsh Cemetery, you got to go down and see it. It is a wonderful city treasure within our city limits. It's a fantastic place to visit.
Well, we have a committee the committee to renovate the Rumney Marsh burial ground. It's made up of several people who have a tremendous interest in the city, among whom are Nick Boer, who's the chairman, Council Ira Novoselsky, Annette Bornstein, Lorna Forgello, Bob Upton, Lenny Piazza, Nick Nazo, and myself. And before she tragically passed away, Ann Fideli was very, very instrumental in getting the committee going. And over the past 4.5 years, we've had fundraisers, we've made tremendous improvements in the cemetery, a new monument, some brickwork, and we're planning to have a new bench installed and a little garden in memory of both Peter McCauley and Ann Fideli.
Oh, wonderful. That's a great tribute to two great people. That's fantastic.
So hopefully this summer we'll have our 3rd annual bocce tournament. Yep. And that's the big fundraiser. Yes. And with the money that we get from the bocce tournament, will go into the improvements of the cemetery.
And since this is the event, and we'll note that that's usually in August, is it?
It's usually in August, right.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure that we have it on our events, and we'll invite you back to talk about it when we get to that.
Be my pleasure.
All right, great. Jeff, as always, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much. All right.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's special events discussion. Tune in as we cover other events and community groups and people that make Revere the great city that it is. Now it's time for sports and our in-house Revere sports experts, Peter DiGiulio and Mike Hinojosa.
And now, for your Revere Sports Review, here's Peter DiGiulio and Mike Hinojosa.
Hello and welcome to your source in Revere for local sports. Tonight, I'm Peter DiGiulio, and to my left is Mike Hinojosa, and we're going to talk about a roundup of the winter sports season, it being the first show. We're going to try to touch on the highlights of each season and who their captains were and how the season went. We do have a swim team. A lot of people aren't aware that we have a swim team that competes in a conference every year. Allison Horgan is the coach. She's a teacher at the high school, and you got a pool, you might as well use it at the Garfield.
Yep.
And her swim team, she reported to us that they made great headway this winter, and the team performed extremely well in the Northeast Conference Championships in February. And a lot of you guys don't even know that there's a Northeast Conference Championship, but there is. And she wanted to give a shout out to Ryan Tran, who was her best swimmer this year and was the top performer for the team, who finished second in his event in the 100-yard butterfly and in his 200 intermediate butterfly. So
it's quite an accomplishment, Peter. I mean, you know, especially when we're sitting here talking, and again, not very many people we know that we even have a swim program at the high school. So next year, if you're not doing anything,
you can get a schedule through the recreation department, or you can get a schedule at Sean Hart's office, and go see a swim meet.
Yeah.
You know,
nothing wrong with spending a couple hours in the dead of winter in an 80-degree
absolutely.
atmosphere.
It's a sauna. Wear your shorts, like I do all the time. Okay, we're going to move to track. We've had very successful track programs. I'm the outdoor girls track coach, but indoors, we have had a lot of success. We get in excess of 60 or 70 kids coming out for each team. Sam Nang Ross, former all-star track athlete at our high school, is the girls coach indoors, and he does a fantastic job with them. And this year, for the first time, they had a winning record indoors, because we run against Beverly, and we run against Peabody, and we run against bigger schools, and frankly, better athletes. And Sam has got these guys cooking, girls, so that they had a winning record in the league for the first time in a few years. And some of the highlights, Mike, were there's a runner named Comfort Toglin. I love the name. I love the kid, because I coached her outdoors. It sounds like a name that runs for Kentucky,
right?
You know, for Tennessee, Comfort Toglin. But I tell you, she fits the name, because she broke her own school record with a time of 44:95 in the 300-meter run. And she also combined with Rachel Adriani, Brenda Rudicindo, and Angie Buenaventura, and they tied the school record in the 4x200 relay. You know, they had a newcomer this year. Her name is Janice DiStefano. She's been in Ben's class since 6th grade. And she went out for the lacrosse team last year, and she's the goalie, and she's great. But she broke the school record in the shot put indoors. First time she ever threw it. She threw it over 30 feet. So Sam's got them cooking, you know. Hopefully next year, he puts down here, when he gave me his thing, he said, with most of the team coming back next year, we hope to improve and get even better.
How exciting is that, Peter? That's the thing is, we've always had, especially from an indoor track standpoint, as far back as I can remember, we've always been very competitive because we have had that.
Well, back when you were in high school, we always had the Finellis and Kerry Leppo and, you know, and
Pizzi, Casoli.
Yeah, exactly. You name
you know,
just a list of them, you know.
Right.
That went on to greater talent. I know that a couple of, you know, Kerry Leppo went on to jump 7 feet in the high jump at BC when he graduated from Revere. So we've put out some great track athletes.
Yeah, and indoor track is, you know, not as an advertising spot, Peter, but indoor track is one of those great sports. You get yourself into shape.
It's a no-cut sport. Everybody that goes out for the team makes it, and, you know, if you're one of the top 3 in your event, then you get to be varsity. So that's the way it works, technically, you know. Well, Mike, we're down to the last sport indoors, and the winter sport, and it is the jewel of the winter sport, especially the last couple of years. Coach Jack Moscow has put together some great winter track teams, indoor track teams, and this year was no different. Jack was Coach of the Year, so Sam Ross was also Coach of the Year in the Northeast Conference. Moscow was Coach of the Year, and he coached them to a 6-1 record. He just can't beat Peabody. Every year, Peabody is the thorn in his side. But, you know, he's got some great athletes. Bobby Rose, who has risen to greatness in his senior year in football and indoor track. Bobby Rose is not only one of the best track eats in the state, but he was unbeaten in his event in the 300-meter run. And we had 7 Northeast Conference All-Stars, Joe Ritchie in the 55 meters, Kareem Sahila in the 55 high hurdles, Omar Morales in the shot put, Bobby Rose in the 300-meter run. Again, he was undefeated in that run. Tariq Madre in the high jump, and 400 by 4x400 relay team. Kareem, Zachary Primo, Bobby Rose, and Johnny Lopes. They set a school record in 3:33.11. All of them were NEC All-Stars. 6 school records were set this year on the boys team. Like I said, they were 6-1. 31 boys scored a varsity point, and Jack Moscow, rightly so, ended up Coach of the Year with a 6-1 record and a second-place finish in his division. It's tough for Revere to compete in the Northeast Conference, and a lot of our teams are doing better than you could expect them to do with the quality of athlete that we have.
Right, and that just goes to show you how important Bobby Rose was to that team. The tremendous year that he had. It's great to have kids like that you know, can propel you. I mean, those are the athletes that we need, Peter.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have good coaches in Revere, Mike. We got kids coming out. We got the new stadium coming in a couple of years, and the sport situation in Revere just looks very promising in the future. You know, and we got young girls in the system, and hopefully, by the time they graduate the high school, they will be reaping the benefits of all these, all of these new. You know, facilities that we're opening up. The Revere High School gym has been rejuvenated in color and stands, and I just think that the future looks bright for Revere sports. And just one quick thing left: the middle school program has expanded. The hockey program has 25 games, all at Salem State. I think I mentioned that earlier. The boys basketball team this year had a great season, and the girls basketball team went 9-1, and graduate only a couple of 8th graders, and we should have a pretty good team coming back next year. And maybe maybe someday we'll have the middle school coaches come in and talk about, because Revere is solid in sports from 4th grade with you know, teams from you know, the recreation department right up through seniors. That's a wrap up of the winter sports. We'd like to thank the Revere Journal for their story contributions and photography. We also like to invite you viewers at home to be a part of the Revere sports scene.
Yep.
That's right. If you're interested in volunteering to help cover games, come down to Revere TV, sign up for the classes, and you could be videotaping all the excitement here in Revere. Thanks for joining us tonight, and you've been watching Revere TV, your source in Revere for anything you want. Tune in. Channels 8, 9, and 22 on your dial. Good night.
Good night, folks.
And finally, another story that does us all proud. The RHS Patriot cheerleaders came out on top in a two-way competition, winning a national title at the Cheer Unlimited National Championship competition held in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The team from Revere not only bested 10 other schools from across the U.S., but became the talk of the competition after their first performance. When it was time for the second day's performance, other teams were coming to watch the RHS team do their thing. The team was so popular and their performance so well appreciated that the whole arena erupted with cheers of joy when they were announced as the champions. To win a competition and to win the respect and admiration of the people you're competing against makes the win all that much better. Congratulations, RHS Patriots cheerleaders. Well, that does it for this week's edition of the Revere Review. Thanks to the Revere Journal and the Revere Advocate for providing photos and information for our stories.
Thank you all for watching. We sincerely hope that you found the program to be entertaining as well as informational. And if you have a news story and an event, an idea that you want covered on the show, give us a call, send us an email, or send us a tweet. And if you really want to have some fun and help produce the show, come by the studios and see how easy and fun it can be.
For Revere TV, your community source, I'm Deb DiGiulio.
And I'm Ed DeVoe.
Take care.
You know, a mayor has the best job in the world.
But the worst part of that job is getting that call.
Another citizen has been shot.
Another life has been lost.
Another family destroyed.
Too many tears.
Too many eulogies.
Too many funerals.
Too many memorials.
Enough. No more families to console.
No more neighborhoods in mourning.
No more makeshift memorials.
No more guns
tearing apart our cities.
Demand a plan.
Every resident in this country needs to pick up the phone.
Washington needs to hear from you.
Citizens, not lobbyists, need to be heard.
As a mayor.
As a dad.
As an aunt.
As an uncle.
As a mom.
As a grandfather.
Demand a plan.
Demand a plan.
Demand a plan.
Demand a plan.